Okay, well, I can't seem to find a picture of one fluorescing in this book. I was fairly certain there was a picture of that happening, but no luck. At least I can't find it for now. So until we find some more scorpions, we'll close the scorpion discussion and get back onto the lions. Now, early hours of the morning making a kill, and Mauritia is interested to know what exactly did they kill, because Junior's belly didn't look that full, and you're right, Mauritia, it wasn't very evidently full, but sorry, one of the African hawk eagles that you saw earlier, in all likelihood the same one, just rocketed past us. So glad that I got to see it again, but it was just the one of them. It wasn't the pair, but they are territorial, so in all likelihood the same one. Anyway, Mauritia, it's difficult to see his stomach now because he's all curled up in a ball, but he was certainly more full-bellied than any of the other members of the pride, and I'm thinking that they killed something like an impala that he would have got the majority of. He would have completely outcompeted the rest of the pride, and probably as they were fighting over it, it would have got dismembered into lots of different parts, and he probably ran away with half of it, and the lioness fought over the scraps. But we didn't see the kill or the remains thereof. And quite often we can forget or just assume that lions may not necessarily be making kills because you don't see them with big full bellies, but that's a mistake on our behalf, because they can and will often kill smaller prey that keep them sustained between the bigger kills. So even if it's a duiker between all of them, it's a kilogram or two of meat each, and that keeps them going. So you don't always see them full bellied and rotund after eating buffalo, but I think they did kill an impala last night. Interesting questions just come through from Diane, and she's asked, if lions kill pregnant prey, will they feed on the fetus first along with the organs? And yes, there is a strong likelihood that will happen. Very strong likelihood that will happen, and possibly something we may get to see, as it is coming into lambing season, and already the female impala, female zebra are beginning to show signs of their pregnancy. There was quite a gruesome sighting that was had early last year, just before I joined Wild Earth, when it wasn't a pride of lion, but it was a pack of wild dog caught a female impala, and as they ripped her open, a fetus popped out, and it was kicking it. I mean, it was just about to be born, basically. So quite harsh, but it is nature, and the lions can't discriminate between their prey species. They need to feed themselves and will latch onto whatever they can. As we saw earlier, it's not easy business for lion to catch their prey, as with most predators, and therefore some fairly tough sightings to watch can unfold. And it is something worth preparing yourself for, because it could happen at any stage. But I don't think it's going to be happening in the next 5 minutes, not at the rate these guys are going, but possibly later on after darkness. They'll get up and show us their skills, and there's still plenty of time for them to do that. I've just heard Craig on the radio. I'm going to ask him quickly on an update if he's heard anything about the Matimba males mating with this other lioness. Craig for Scott. No luck. But I will keep trying, and we'll be sure to ask again when I hear him come over the radio. What may be happening is that he may be flipping between different radio frequencies. Oh, maybe she's seen something. Not looking too alert. No. Although, I'm trying to look behind us. It's quite thick. Can't seem to see anything, but there's something that's getting her attention down there. Nothing too serious, though. So, as I said earlier, but I will recap again for Mavis, who's interested in finding out where the Birmingham boys are. 4 of them are to the east of us, probably about 3 miles east, and another 1 is still feeding on a buffalo kill that he chased these lion off 2 nights ago. Not last night, the night before. They were chased off by 1 individual Birmingham. I'm not sure exactly which one, but basically the Birminghams are split up currently. 1 north of us, probably about 2 miles to 3 miles north, and the other 4 about 3 miles to the east. So for now, this pride is in no danger of them. And I wonder what the Birmingham boys' plans will be this evening, and if they'll possibly reunite, and maybe they'll reunite here on Djuma. Hard to say, and isn't it interesting how even though all 5 of them are a team, one of them goes off on his own tangents and leaves the other 4 together. It's not uncommon with coalitions, but very interesting and hard for us to understand exactly what triggers them to split up. I certainly wouldn't want to move out alone if I had been on a marauding rampage like they have been, because if he does come across one of the Matimbas, that lone male, he will have his work cut out for him. What a beautiful evening it is. A bit of a glow coming from the west. The sun is setting somewhere behind those clouds. And we've got a question through from Debbie. There's a frequently asked one, but still a very important one to answer, and that is, why are the Birmingham boys killing the lioness that they will one day possibly be reproducing with? And Debbie, we're not exactly sure what the circumstances were when they got into these fights, but quite often what can happen is lioness will stick together with their pride, and junior forms part of their pride. So maybe the Birmingham boys were going for junior and some of the lioness were trying to defend him, or they were trying to defend their kill. Not too sure. They've got no cubs that they need to stand up for, so not convinced that that would be why they would be confronting the Birmingham males. But the males, when they come through on these territorial takeovers, they're charged with hormones, testosterone, they're on a rampage, they're not thinking very clearly, their blood is pumped and they've got in a complete rage. And anything that obstructs them or tries to get in their way and stands up to them, they will attack with force, be it male, female, young or old, and that's basically what it is for me. Now, the reason why these females may stand up to them is because the males, these Birmingham males, are strangers, and they're coming into this area. It's like some person walking into your house that you don't know and kind of making himself at home or making advances on you. You're naturally going to put up your guard and try and defend yourself. But over time, once they overthrow the Matimbas and they are no longer around, the lioness will begin to understand and accept that they are now the kings and that they will be the ones that protect them and mate with them. So, interesting stuff, and there could be a lot more bloodshed and a lot more lioness could still be killed as they stamp their authority down on this area. Certainly not uncommon with males and takeovers. And let's just hope they don't kill too many. But it's a cycle, and every 5 to 8 years, generally one coalition will be kicked out by another. That's the general length of a reign of dominant males, as a rough rule. And then lion populations could become quite high towards the end of any dominant male's reign. And maybe it's just nature's way of making sure that lion populations are kept in check and are not continuing to soar into big numbers where they would eat too much food and therefore no longer have enough prey to survive themselves. Isn't that an interesting pose? Trying its best to get comfortable, or is that the best way to clean the inner paw whilst on your back? I heard some Franklin alarm calling and now a tree squirrel, and it was in the direction that the African hawk eagle headed into, so maybe it's wreaking havoc in that area. I'm not sure if you would have been able to hear that audio. The wind's blowing the audio away from us, but I'm guessing that's what caused it. Any alarm call we hear, we often wonder what it could be, and thankfully we saw that African hawk eagle flying there, so it's not necessarily a leopard approaching, but could be. And we'll be sure to call you back to this area if any action does unfold. But for now, we are going to send you back to James for an update on how Madiba is getting on this afternoon.
Hello everybody, welcome back to young Sindila, who has done very little since I last saw you. He has been lying in sweet and gentle repose upon this termite mound, where he seems to have found the ultimate in comfort for a leopard. A couple of birds have been calling while you've been gone, some Birchall's starlings, some rattling testiculars came past and shouted at him for being a leopard. Not that he can do anything about that, and that's what he told them, and so they moved off. And that's about all that's been going on. But there's the Franklin calling. But it just has been very special to spend another extended period with this special little fellow. I believe also that Scott and you have been discussing the reasons behind why the Birmingham boys have been, and Matimbas even, have been killing female lions. I think it's a fascinating discussion, and I think that around the fire we've come up with one or two pretty good answers. And my version of it goes basically that the only reason for the Birmingham boys to do it would be because that they are so hyped up and their blood is up and their testosterone levels are up. They're in a natural state of heightened aggression, so that during the course of a completely normal confrontation, remember lions confront each other all the time. Males will chase females off kills, and normally the females will just move away, or if the females do show a bit of aggression back, the males might back off slightly. But that confrontation, very seldom ends up in a serious physical confrontation. Now that, of course, is going to be very different if everyone's on edge. And everyone is on edge, of course, because of this big changeover that's going on. And I suspect that what is a normal interaction between lions has now escalated into far more aggressive incidents. And I think that's probably why the lionesses have been killed. I don't believe it has necessarily an evolutionary function. I think it's a byproduct of their behavior, but who knows? I might be wrong. I am contacting. What are you looking at? He spotted something behind us. I'm looking behind us now. I can't see what it is. I really rather hope it'll be his mum coming back to say hello. Look at his magnificent face. He's such a magnificent looking animal. What you got, boy? What you see? Happy birthday to you. Join me, Jean.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Deb.
From Ohio. Happy birthday to you. That is a little happy birthday song for Deb in Ohio, now aged just 62. Well done, Deb. You've certainly achieved more than Jean and I have. We are not quite at that age of tremendous wisdom yet. And Deb, I'm not trying to remember the question that you just asked. Oh yes, you asked, has a lion or a leopard ever approached the car while I've been watching it out of curiosity, and have I ever had to sort of make a noise or shout at it or ask it politely to go away and desist from staring at me in the eyes? Deb, once or twice. The animals that do it the most are young male leopards. They're the most inquisitive. Young male lions are also quite inquisitive, but young male leopards especially. He wasn't being particularly inquisitive. I have had a male leopard on the bonnet of my car, which was very unpleasant indeed. But yeah, that was an anomalous sort of behavior when a leopard was being chased by some wild dogs, and what he did was to leap up onto the vehicle because he was basically taking his anger out on the first thing he saw. I didn't make much noise there. I just kind of reversed, and he eventually went away. But we did have an incident not too long ago where the orange-eyed lioness of the Nkahuma pride came up close to the vehicle. And when she did that, she came up close and suddenly her eyes locked on mine. I've never had that before. And that was a slightly scary moment, and I was seconds away from hitting the door and just breaking her concentration so that she would sort of carry on doing what she was doing. But eventually she just looked away, and that wasn't a necessity anymore. But those are the main things. On foot, young male leopards especially will come and investigate you, and very seldom with anything other than curiosity in their eyes and in their manner. And that's always quite entertaining. Hyenas, of course, will approach the vehicle a lot, especially before they're adults, to come and check what's going on. And we do sometimes hit the vehicles just to make them go away, mainly because they like to steal the oil caps on the end of the wheels, and they're very expensive to try and replace, so that's a bit of a disaster when they do that. Thanks, Deb, and happy birthday. I believe a few more people have claimed that it is their birthday today. I'm afraid we only sing happy birthday once a day, so sorry about that. Happy birthday to all of you, but we're not singing it again, I'm afraid. Sandile would probably either regurgitate his lunch if we carried on singing, or he'd disappear over the back of the termite mound and we'd never see him again. But happy birthday to all of you. The light has picked up a bit. Huh? The cloud might be lifting a little. I don't think this front's going anywhere fast, I must tell you. But there's a lovely kind of goldenness to the light now. I don't know what he's looking at. I'm just going to stand up and, well, not stand up, just extend myself and have a look out the back of the vehicle. I can't see anything that he might be looking at. Let's just go around the other side of him. It might give us a slightly better view of what's going on. Gary on Twitter, I believe you're a new viewer. Wonderful to have you on board with us, and thank you for taking the time, first of all, to watch us, and secondly, to send through a question. Thank you for that. You want to know if lions and other animals are born deaf. That's quite a cloud, isn't it, Shanta? Gary, they're not born deaf, no. They do hear, I think, probably not very well, but they certainly hear. And remember, when they're born deaf, they don't, if they're born deaf, they're certainly born blind. But the only thing that they are talking to at the time is their mothers. And by the time that they have to communicate with any other animal, what they do is that they will, sorry, I'm just watching him quickly. And what they do is that they will, by the time they come out of the den and they need to talk with other animals, especially with lions, they can hear and see perfectly well. Now, if an animal is born deaf, maybe that's what you're asking, so born completely deaf and without the ability to ever regain their hearing, can they survive? Remember that while communication is a big part of what they do, their eyes and noses are incredibly powerful senses. And so for a human being, for example, our vocal communication is probably the most important part of what we do in social interactions. And I've heard it said that people who are blind have an easier time than people who are completely deaf because they can still communicate vocally. I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's a real... I have a huge admiration for anybody who has a disability like that. A leopard, of course, if it can't hear anything, is going to be disadvantaged by the fact that it can't hear when it's hunting. It can't hear its mother calling, and that would be a big thing as a youngster. If it went deaf as an older leopard, say as an independent male, I think it could survive pretty well. I don't think that, while their ears are important, their eyes and noses would probably compensate largely. I still think they'd be able to hunt. I still think that, yes, they'd probably wouldn't pick up maybe some predators coming to get them, so maybe they'd have to spend more time in trees. But I do think that what they would do, absolutely, is that they would compensate for that loss of hearing. I don't know that they'd survive if they were born deaf, though, because they do need to hear their mothers calling them. Maybe a lion would. I think a leopard would really struggle. Great question. Thank you, Gary. And obviously this is all postulation. I don't know the answer exactly. And as I've just said, there are a few animals, like a leopard, which is born without sight. I mean, their eyes are closed, they're not blind, but their eyes are shut, and there are lots of birds that are born blind. I don't know how deaf they are when they're born, but certainly blind. And of course, as they get older, this happens in a lot of the what we call altricial youngsters. So lots of birds, rabbits, not hares, rabbits, some of the predators like leopards and lions, and of course wild dogs and hyenas probably as well. They are born no, hyenas are actually different, but the rest of the predators are born blind, and of course in a few weeks' time then they're able to see, and their eyes open, and their senses are as tremendous as they are almost as adults very quickly after they're born. I think if he wasn't quite as full as he is now, he'd probably be moving around a bit, but he's definitely not having any calls from his stomach, given how large it is. Something is arresting his attention down to the south of us. I don't know what it is, though. As you can see, he's still yawning. Exhausted little fellow. I've just seen a kudu walk past the back there. That's what he's looking at. Anyway, the kudu we are not going to try and film. It is perfectly camouflaged. I've just seen the movement, but that's what he's watching. He's watching a little herd of kudu. Right, a little bit off the topic, but not quite, because we are sitting on a termite mound. Sibusiso in Hammanskraal, you would like to know about jackalberries and if they only grow on termite mounds. For those of you who don't know, jackalberry is also known as an ebony or Diospirus mespiloformes, and they grow predominantly on drainage lines or where the water table is pretty high. So Sibusiso, no, absolutely not. They don't only grow on termite mounds at all. They grow very successfully, and they're much less termite mound specialists than a lot of the other trees we get out here, say like a weeping boerbean or a brown ivory. They love to grow on termite mounds. But it's a nice question. You also want to know if the male and the female trees produce fruit. Now remember, they're either monoecious, which means that they one tree will have both sexes, or they're dioecious, which means they'll have separate sex trees. Now, no male tree can have a fruit. So if they are monoecious, i.e. they both have male and female together, then that tree will have fruit. And if they're dioecious, then only the female tree will have fruit. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure that they are monoecious, at least dioecious, like marula trees, in which case only the females will have fruit. I'm not 100% sure if that's the case, though, so I'll try and find out for you. Very nice question. Thank you, Sibusiso in Hammanskraal. That's in South Africa, everybody. Small town in South Africa. We're going to quickly nip across to Scott. There's some exciting action at the Lion Pride. I'll see you just now. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, and if you look very closely, there we go, now you can see it more clearly, a hyena. And it's looking intently in the direction of these lions. One of the lioness did see the hyena, wasn't too fazed by it, and it's probably just lurking around to investigate whether there's a kill here. It came from downwind of the lion, but now it will certainly be able to smell them. I'm not sure if it will necessarily be able to see them from where it is, but let's watch what it does. Oh, hyena in this area, especially alone, will not try and overthrow lion, especially if there's no kill to be won. But this individual was just coming to check out what was going on, and in the hope that possibly there would be some scraps or remains of a kill made by these lions, but you're not going to find anything here. And as quickly as it appeared, it is going to disappear. Well, that was at least a pleasant change of scenery for Brian and myself. We have repositioned the vehicle, but the lions are still, as you left them, fast asleep. So take a closer look, but we do have this new angle, which you may enjoy looking at. The lioness with her head up now was the only one that saw the hyena. She appears to be the most alert out of all of them. And hopefully she'll spot something else of interest, maybe a prey item. Okay, copy. Confirm or not. Welcome back, everyone, and without a moment's notice the Inkuhuma Pride just got up and started moving, so thankfully we are going to hopefully be able to follow them as they continue to move south. They're not far from our southern boundary and they've just moved into a very thick area, but we should be able to loop around and find them again. So good prospects, and happy to have you back. Apologies for the break in signal. Don't have a clue what is causing all these problems, but you've come back at the perfect time as these lines begin to move. Now we're going to try our best to not interfere in their hunting, and that way we may be turning the lights on and off intermittently, especially if they see any prey, so that's something to think about. And I'm also going to have to concentrate quite a lot on negotiating through this thick vegetation to find them again, so you're going to have to just bear with me. Oh, it's an extremely thick area, this. But I think we should be able to find a way ahead of them again. Not this way. Okay. Well, I'm glad you did get a glimpse of them, because, like I said, it's going to be very, very tricky to loop ahead of them through this thick vegetation. But don't worry, we're certainly going to keep trying. think we may find a way through here. At least we followed them for about a minute or two before you came to us, so I do have a good idea of their general direction of movements. And what I'm thinking of doing is looping ahead onto a road and then trying to re-establish where their next move may be from there. Here we go. Looking good. We've got onto a road, so that's a good start. It'll be wonderful if they've decided to get onto this road and then use it as a pathway to come towards us. Which is what I'm guessing they will do. Come on, Nkuhuma Pride. Please may you not have disappeared after only following them for a very, very brief moment. Just going to use the spotlights and hopefully that'll help us find them. Their eyes will reflect very, very brightly. If the torch shines over them, so that will help us. And torch is a word we use here in South Africa. In America, I'm told you prefer to use the word flashlight, so don't be confused if you hear me saying torch every now and then. What I'm trying to also do is, as I'm shining from side to side, also check the road every now and then for any tracks of where they may have already crossed this road. Surely not so soon. Just as they got mobile, we've been waiting the whole afternoon in the hope that we could follow them on the move. But sadly they decided to go through such a thick area that we were forced to loop around. And it's not looking too promising from the outset. Saw a fallen down log there, and it got me excited. I thought it could have been the lions. I haven't managed to see any of their tracks, but I could well have missed them as I'm looking up where the spotlight's shining a lot of the time as well. They should have popped out somewhere around here. What what you do find from time to time is when lions do get active is that they will move a few hundred meters and then lie down again. So I'm hoping they haven't done that in this thick bush. Another likely reality that they may have done is that they may be actually stalking something, or they may have found some potential prey, and they will take their time usually in the evening, more so than during the day. Like we saw earlier when the one lioness really did blunder that one opportunity when the impala came down to the waterhole to drink. Oh, lions. Thinking of going a little bit further up this road and then turning around and heading back in the direction that we came in, as they may still have been working their way through this block and may not have reached this road that we got onto just yet. But I just want to check a little bit further. Interestingly enough, the Birmingham Coalition made a kill just over to the left here in December, and that was the third buffalo they killed within 48 hours, just off to our left. That's a happy memory of lion in this area. And maybe the Nkuhuma pride will come back into this area and also make a kill. Wouldn't that be great? Last night we were lucky enough to find a snake crossing the road. It would be wonderful if that happened again, but we don't see as many snakes as we would like to, Archie. Even though there are lots around, they tend to slither off before we can see them. But last night we got lucky, and maybe it was the windy conditions that helped muffle our approach and not scare the snake away. It looked like a brown house snake to me, non-venomous. Okay, time to turn around. I see some eyes flickering up ahead there, so let's maybe just shoot up there and have a quick look. It could well be a herd of impala or some other animals, but worth checking up on. Yeah, it's just some impala, so we're not going to shine the spotlights on them. I'm just going to make sure, that these lion are not anywhere in this general area. I highly doubt it, because they were heading in the opposite direction to where we are now, and the wind is not blowing the impala's scent towards where they were going. It would actually be blowing the scent of the lion towards the impala, so I don't think the lions would have smelt them. Speed a little bit now as my desperation begins to kick in. Now, according to their trajectory, they should have popped up anywhere from just up ahead of us now to the next road junction. So either they've already crossed this road, so I'm trying desperately to look for trucks, can't see any, or they may still be off to our left. Such a thick area this. We've lost leopard in here so many times. So to update the other vehicles who are out, they're looking for updates, and I just need to tell them that I have successfully managed to lose the Nkahuma Pride. Lost visual of the Nkahuma as they headed south and west from their last position through the thick block, trying to relocate on Shaban Treehouse Road. That's where they're kind of heading towards. Shining in the bushes from side to side, and what I'm guessing is going to happen is we're going to come around the corner and they're going to be right in the middle of the road. That would be ideal. And even that's not looking too promising now. They should have popped out. Switch off for a moment and see if anything's alarm calling. It all seems quiet here for now. Thanks. What a disaster. Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for the breakup in signal again. Still no sign of the lion, sadly. But we are going to continue to search for the last 15 minutes or so of this safari, and what I'm thinking of doing now is actually extending the search further towards our southern boundary. It's a very big open straight road where if the lions do come out there, which they should if they continue in the direction they were moving in, at least we will be able to get a glimpse of them again. While we continue the search, I can answer a question from Charlie, and he's said there's a lot of people comparing the Nkahuma to the Mapocho Coalition, which is a coalition that I got to see at the start of my guiding career in the south of the Sabi Sands. And I guess they are quite similar. The Mapocho is 6 strong initially, whereas the Birmingham males are only 5, and the Mapocho killed probably somewhere between 30 and 40 lion. They were on a huge rampage when they established themselves as dominant in the area. And I guess the Birmingham boys are just starting to do that, Charlie, and will in all likelihood create similar chaos in the coming months. But only time will tell, and who knows, maybe they'll maybe the Matimbas will find the lone male when they split up from time to time, eliminate one of their strengths. And if they continue to keep splitting up, they could continue to lose other members of their coalition. Brian's also got his flashlight out now in the hope that he might be able to aid in this search, so thanks, Brian. I've just seen a game viewer drive past, so they're obviously lower to the questions come through, not on the topic of lion, but still an interesting topic, and that's from Daryl. He's interested to know what animals can we expect to see in spring and summer in the coming months. It's going to change a lot, both in terms of the animals we see, but also in terms of the vegetation and scenery. It's going to become much thicker and greener. It's incredible how lush this area becomes in such a short space of time. So that's something to look forward to. And a whole host of insects, arachnids, reptiles, lizards, snakes, tortoises. There'll even be changes in the general game. You'll probably see a lot more wildebeest, zebra, at least we did in the last summer months. A lot of babies. It's the birthing season, the lambing season for a lot of the herbivores. So that's something we can look forward to. For me, that's mainly the smaller critters, the little bugs and insects that come in multitude. Dung beetles are a wonderful animal that we'll get to show you. They roll up balls of dung that they lay their eggs in and then bury, and we'll get to see them battling it out. It's quite a difficult business. There's a lot of zebra running straight towards us. I'm just going to kill the lights so that and I'm sure the lion's after them. The lion just came right here in front of us. Look at all the dust. There was a lioness right behind it. And I'm just going to... I think they may have got one. I think they've got one. I can hear a lot of audio inside this bush. Hold on, everyone. I just had to kill my lights. I didn't want to blind the zebra. And if I had have, that lion maybe would have caught one. So it was the right thing to do to switch off the lights, even though you couldn't see anything. Apologies for that. I'm just going to have to concentrate. I'm fairly certain they got one of these zebra. I'm just going to drive a bit further into this bush and then switch off and listen for the audio. They'll be fighting over the kill. Let me actually just switch off right now. I thought I heard a growl as I switched off.
Yeah.
It was another zebra alarm call. Yeah, they've got one in there, I think. Unless they're still chasing them around wildly. I've got audio of one in distress. It's so thick in here. there, Brian? Good, hold on, holes. The zebra can be quite a difficult animal for the lion to kill, so that's why we may still be hearing the distress calls coming from one that they may have captured but not yet killed. Where are you? We're getting closer. The zebra is still alarm calling, so they're probably still trying to kill it if they have in fact caught it, which I think they have. Little bump. Just want to stop and listen again. Another zebra alarm call there. I think that was the lion fighting over the kill there, Brian. Did you hear that? I did. Okay, so there's somewhere in here. It's just so thick, everyone, but don't go anywhere. We probably will be extending this broadcast until we at least find out what's gone on. So don't worry, and if you had plans, best you change them. Just heard a short. Believe it. I'm just going to try to get a little bit closer to where I heard that lion growl come from, and then we'll switch off and listen for more audio. In this thick bush, listening is going to be probably the best way for us to relocate. Yeah, through there. So I think that's just the zebra. That's still alarming. Okay, we got them there, We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. You can hear the lions growling and they'll be fighting with one another and competing to try to go to the best spot. Yes, we've got them, they're right here. Shame, you can hear the other zebra still distress calling off in the distance. This is a youngster that they caught. I just need to get onto the radio quickly and let everyone know that this has happened, and if anyone's nearby they can hopefully come and join us here. Stations, the Nkuhuma's just made a bumbo that they've got a Mampimpan Mangwa. We are west of Shabam and north of Gari Main in the block. I'm not sure exactly where, but I can help you get you if need be. Mampimpan Mangwa. Makulu, makulu. This is the first time in all the months that I've been here that I've actually seen this pride competing over a small kill. And isn't it fascinating how they could be so friendly and affectionate with one another earlier, yet now, come time to feed, things change drastically. And it gives you an idea of how important food is out here. And they will even fight their own pride members for it. Now I know this would usually be the end of the broadcast or the safari, but we certainly aren't going to be going anywhere for the time being, so get comfortable. Because this is something we don't get to see very often at all. Now Junior's got himself positioned in the best possible spot for now, and he'll be consuming most of the organs, which are easy to feed on. But once he finishes that, he may want to reposition to another point of the carcass, and that's when we could expect to see some more aggression between this pride. As the meat becomes less, their will to try and feed on more will cause them to fight with one another and jostle for new positions. It's remarkable how quickly they are making their way through this carcass. It gives you a very good idea of how powerful their jaws are and how sharp their teeth are, in order for them to be able to process this amount of meat in such a short period of time. I think things are going to start heating up now between this pride. And what we may find is that some members may actually tear off some parts of this small zebra and run away with it. And if any of you are battling to watch this and feeling extremely sorry for the zebra, yes, of course, this zebra was unfortunate. But it is critical for these lions to kill in order to feed themselves. So just keep reminding yourself of that. Of course, it was unfortunate for the zebra, but a necessity for these lions to survive. Like I said earlier, in all my time here, the only live kill that we've managed to capture with this specific pride was them taking down a Cape buffalo. And that was with Brent not too long ago, but I've never seen them catch a smaller prey item. And this is the closest we've come to seeing them bring one down. And I'm going to be, well, I am already interested at how relaxed Junior is. He seems to be minding his own business on the periphery. And I really did expect different behavior from him. I thought he would be more of a bully at the kill. But that could still happen. You can probably still hear the zebra's mother in all likelihood calling out in search of it. This herd of zebra would have been chased by lions many times, and so would have this foal. And quite often in the chase they may split up, and now she's desperately trying to call her foal back. But sadly this time they will not be reuniting. It looks like this lioness is just trying to take a breather while securing a big chunk of meat that she'd like to feed on when she has a break. It's an incredibly tiring business, not only catching their prey, but feeding on it so quickly. And look at her, she's just taking a time out. But she's latched securely onto a portion of the zebra that she doesn't want to let go for the others. There we go, that's a bit more of the behavior I was expecting. They're all so tired. They cannot continue to fight for that extra last piece of meat, which is mainly the head. And listen to Junior panting. The lioness is latched firmly onto her share of the kill, but I'm not sure if she's going to be able to hold on to it much longer, because it looks like Junior's got his breath back. It was probably the right decision on her behalf. Well, it looks like the two lionesses at the back are beginning to have a bit of a scrap. Listen to how powerful their jaws are as they crunch through the bone. Looks like Junior needs to get his breath back again. And I think what he may do next is try and move off with the remains he's got. The problem is the hide is still connected to other parts of the kill that other lioness are latched onto. So that's one lioness taking off her a little bit to feed on in peace. Clever move. I'm just keeping a lookout around to see if there's any hyena lurking on the periphery of our shadows, because I'm sure some of them would have either heard this commotion or possibly by now smelt it. The wind has died down though, and these lions made the kill at the perfect time when the wind was still in their favor. It would have muffled their approach, but it has turned into a dead still evening. Okay, copy, thanks. You think you should just call it now? Copy, thanks. Well, everyone, like I said, I know that may have been quite difficult for some of you to understand and to watch, and it is unfortunate for that zebra, of course it is, but essential for the well-being of this pride. They need to keep making kills, keeping themselves well fed, and keeping themselves in good shape, especially with what's going on now with the Birmingham boys being around. They need to be in tip-top shape in order to be ready for any onslaught that they could get from this coalition that's marauding through the area. And like I say, another thing is that we very, very seldom actually get to witness this and be around events like this. So we're very fortunate to be able to have witnessed this interesting behavior. I've never witnessed the Nkuhuma Pride in a scenario quite like this. So for me, it's a very big highlight and a special sighting to remember. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Sorry about all the wild bushwhacking to get you. And eventually, thankfully, we did. And thanks for sticking around for those of you who have stayed on during the extra broadcast this afternoon. Well done, Brian.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks very much. And thanks to Louise for directing the show, and for Tara and Nikki for lending her a hand. We'll give you one last view for a moment or two of the pride as they finish off their kill, and we'll certainly do our best to try and find them again in the morning. Enjoy the last views. Thanks for following. It's Brent and Jamie out tomorrow. They're back from leave, so you'll have some new faces on safari, and they are so happy to be back. So that's also something that a lot of you will be thrilled about, because I'm sure you guys have had enough of James and myself for the time being. Anyway, take one last look at the lions, and then we're going to call it a day and see you in the morning.